pointing out here the next topic, that is respiration. As we have discussed that photosynthesis is base, that food production is carried out. That food means energy rich molecules such as glucose. Later on we have also discussed that glucose is converted into its polymer, that is called as polysaccharide compound, that is starch. Later on these compounds are converted into different energy rich molecules. Out of that, 3 molecules we are considering here important. They are carbohydrate, then fat and proteins. In case of respiration, we are defining that as intracellular conversion or oxidation of energy rich molecule to its simpler compound in order to release out energy. We are defined this process that we are not saying only carbohydrates are burned. Carbohydrate, fat and protein, whatever the energy rich molecules are there, they are oxidized in order to get energy. Now keep in mind, as long as energy is required, the preference is given to carbohydrate first. For higher energy level, we require fat, and whenever carbohydrates and fats are absent, or we are having very scarcity of this carbohydrate and fat, then only proteins are used as combustible or for burning process. So in case of respiration, respiration is essentially, we are saying, oxidation process where these higher energy rich molecule or higher molecule are split up into simpler molecule. Now respiration, as we are saying that oxidation is carried out, so oxygen is required for respiration or not? The answer is that yes, oxygen is required, but in absence of direct oxygen, respiration can take place. So that is called as anaerobic respiration. So here respiration we have to classify in this way, that aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. What is aerobic respiration? Where direct oxygen is used, whereas what is anaerobic respiration? Where oxygen is not taken directly from the atmosphere. So at that time we are calling that as carbon dioxide is formed in this process. But we are not saying only carbon dioxide can form, other compounds are also formed in the process. Say for example, that's why we are not calling this as only carbohydrate, fat or protein. Instead of that, we are calling this as respiratory substrate. The substance which is broken down in the respiration process or oxidized in the respiratory process, that is called as respiratory substrate. Now here we have discussed that respiratory substrate may be carbohydrate, fat or protein. Respiration can be aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration. What is anaerobic respiration? Direct oxygen is not used. What is aerobic respiration? Direct oxygen is used from atmosphere. Then we are calling that as aerobic respiration. Now anaerobic respiration is possible at what level? The first thing, in prokaryotic cell anaerobic respiration is carried out. That means you are aware that prokaryote means bacteria. So in case of bacteria, this anaerobic respiration is carried out. Then in certain eukaryotes like fungus, they are also carrying out anaerobic respiration. Then another thing, that is the parasites which are living inside the body. As they are living inside the body, they are also having lack of oxygen. So they are carrying out anaerobic respiration inside the body. Then you are aware that RBCs, this is the biggest joke we can say, RBCs supplies oxygen, but RBCs carried out anaerobic respiration. So RBC, that is red blood corpuscle, which contains hemoglobin. That means this is something that cashier of bank is also taking loan from same bank. So like that consideration we can do. So RBCs, no doubt they are having oxygen, they are carrying out oxygen, they are also responsible for respiration process, but still they are carrying out anaerobic respiration. Then in case of muscles, human body only, in case of muscles, wherever there is starvation of oxygen, then muscles also carry out respiration anaerobically. So these are the examples of anaerobic respiration. Then we are discussing out the other facts. about anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. First we should concentrate on the reaction and energy statistics of these. So as we are discussing photosynthesis chapter, the reaction is like this. We are taking now carbohydrate, that is the glucose as source of energy, and we are giving out the reaction. So C6H12O6, this is the formula for glucose, which is monosaccharide. This is combining with oxygen with proper enzymes, and we are getting carbon dioxide plus water. Of course, energy, as we have discussed earlier, the energy released in this process, that is equal to 686 kilocalorie per mole, or from one molecule. So if I am burning out only one molecule, this part is discussed in photosynthesis. So as only one molecule is burned out, the energy release, that is in form of heat plus in form of ATP. So in case of this aerobic respiration, 38 ATP molecules are formed. As we have discussed earlier, I am just revising. This is photophosphorylation, that ADP plus inorganic phosphate group, that is giving ATP. If this reaction is carried out in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, then we are calling photophosphorylation. Otherwise only we can say phosphorylation. So this phosphorylation, that adenosine diphosphate combines with inorganic phosphate group to give ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate, energy rich molecule. So 38 energy rich molecules are formed in this process if one molecule is there, and for one mole means molecular weight expressed in terms of gram. So for one mole, 686 kilocalorie heat is liberated in this process. Now whatever the heat liberated here in this process, that is constituting around 60%, whereas 38 ATP molecules are produced, that is 40% is used here to conversion of ADP to ATP. Remaining energy is lost in form of heat. That's why you can keep in mind that in this process, of course, the energy is released in stepwise, not directly energy is released in one phase. Stepwise energy is released in this phase. So this is about aerobic respiration. The reaction written over here is not balanced one. I am not going to balance. Just try now yourself to balance this reaction, and if you are not able to balance out, or after balancing, please check previous lecture of photosynthesis. In that photosynthesis part, we have balanced out this reaction. So right now, try to balance out this reaction yourself first. Now this reaction will give us this much amount of energy. This is called as aerobic respiration, where the oxygen is directly involved in oxidation of this. Now in case of anaerobic respiration, this is the reaction that C6H12O6 under enzyme directly converted to this molecule. Try to recollect the name. This is ethanol. So 2 molecules of ethanol, 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, and energy is formed. Now this energy is equal to 50 kilocalories per mole. So in case of aerobic respiration, we are getting 686 kilocalories per mole, whereas here we are getting 50 kilocalories per mole. So comparatively very less energy is obtained over here. That energy, that is in form of heat and able to convert 2 molecules of ADP into ATP. So we are having now here 2 ATP molecules, whereas in this process we are having 38 ATP molecules. So no doubt aerobic respiration is preferred. The reason is that compounds are completely break down into constituent. Second thing, that completely means till smaller group we are getting. Second thing, that energy release is very high. In case of anaerobic respiration, energy release is not that much high. Only 2 ATP molecules are formed, whereas here 38 ATP molecules are formed. 50 kilocalorie, here 686 kilocalories. And what is the most important thing? That here we are getting 6 molecules. Now I have balanced this reaction. So 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, whereas in this process we are getting 2 molecules of carbon dioxide. But whatever here is not obtained, that is, here we are getting ethanol, here we are getting water. Now this ethanol is very important. This process, actually we are saying not preferred energically, but we are able to obtain here ethanol, which can be used as fuel. Now you are aware that in many petrol pumps, they are serving the petrol which is mixed with ethanol. 20% ethanol is added in petrol. That means whatever the petrol we obtain that is having mixture of ethanol, that means it is going to save 20% petrol for the country if every petrol pump follows this thing. And ethanol can be obtained from variety of sources. Say organic sources are there that can be obtained from petroleum, etc. But apart from that, fermentation industry, whatever I have written the reaction, this reaction is called as fermentation reaction, because where the complex substance is converted into somewhat simpler substance. So this is fermentation reaction. So even the sugar industries, they are having molasses. The molasses means part after extraction of sugar, whatever the remaining things are there, they are called as molasses. From that molasses, alcohol is produced. So like that processes are there. So we can produce alcohol, and that is used as substitute for petrol. No, only that is not the thing. Many people are more interested in drinking this alcoholic drink. So alcoholic drinks are also produced. These all are fermentation products. So these are energy rich. Therefore, you can say what are the spirit lamp that is also having this ethanol. Tremendous heat is given. The reason is that energy rich molecule is formed. So no doubt glucose is having more energy, but still we are getting here energy rich molecules. So that is the important thing of anaerobic respiration. Now anaerobic respiration is carried out in lower animals, especially bacteria, lower class of life, that is prokaryotic cell, that is bacteria. Then it is obtained from lower category of animal plants, no doubt eukaryotic cell, but fungus. Then certain parasites which are living inside the body, and ultimately RBCs and muscle cells. Whenever muscle cells are having starvation of oxygen, they are having deficiency of oxygen, then they can undergo anaerobic respiration process. So this is about first part of respiration, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Energically, what are the things are there, then other name of the reaction, and comparatively why this reaction is preferred, the economical importance of this process we have discussed. Now we are going to discuss another part in respiration, that is internal respiration and concentrating in breathing process. That breathing process in man, or we are calling that as external respiration part. What is the breathing process? It starts with nasal cavity. Actually, we require oxygen. So respiration starts from nasal cavity. One can argue here from mouth. Answer is yes, from mouth also. But predominantly, breathing process is carried out with nasal chamber. So first thing we are saying, this is the nose of person. Then from here, no, I am not showing detail, we are just explaining. The person is like Egyptian art, that face towards one side and body faces towards you. So when it enters inside, it is converted into So I tried to draw some diagram here. So from nasal chamber, air enters here in mouth part only, or you can directly take it from mouth. But the problem is that if one respirates from mouth and respirates from nose, then obviously safer side that one should respirate from nose. The reason is that here the arrangement is carried out so that air is filtered. The nasal chambers are comparatively having smaller area, whereas inside that hairs, small hairs are there, sensitive hairs that will avoid entry of minute insect also. Dust particles are trapped here. Then here mucus secretion is there. So this mucus secretion that will adsorb and absorb certain dust particles. Then temperature is regulated over here because the air is entering inside the body, so temperature must maintain of the body, and so temperature is regulated over here, and then that warm air enters over this portion where we are having two openings. The one opening, this is called as trachea or windpipe, whereas another opening, this is esophagus. So esophagus is there to take food from this buccopharyngeal cavity to the stomach region. So this tube passes out through the entire chest portion. Whereas another tube is there, this is trachea. This is converted into bronchia and entering in the lungs. Now here, the thing is that one diaphragm is there that will switch over here and there. Wherever we are carrying out respiration, the trachea will remain open, whereas esophagus will remain closed. Wherever you are consuming, swallowing out food, then trachea will remain closed and esophagus will be opened. The result is that at a time, if you are familiar with driving process, car driving, then this mechanism is used in car driving also. Say for example, accelerator, brake and clutch. We are using left leg for clutch, whereas right leg is used for accelerator and brake. So once if you want to apply brake, then you have to raise your foot from accelerator and use it on brake. That means one will remain open, one will close. The same thing we are using here, that diaphragm, when it is carrying out respiration, the esophagus will remain closed and air will directly enter here. Only one diaphragm is maintaining. So whenever we are swallowing food, this will close out this trachea and food will enter in esophagus. At that time we are not able to respirate. So this is the thing carried out by single diaphragm. So one tube will always remain open, one will remain closed. So that switching is carried out over there. Then air enters in the bronchia. From that bronchiole, the fine tubes we are calling as bronchiole, and lastly these bronchioles are entering up into fine bubbles like object that is called as alveolar sac. So ultimately the alveolar sac very thin layered, and the artery going to lung. Now artery carries blood from heart to organ. So artery coming out to lung, that is splitting up into fine capillaries. They are present in alveolar sac, where exchange of gases is taking place and the carbon dioxide is released over there, whereas oxygen combines with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin in the RBC. This takes place and carbon dioxide is taken out as exhalation gas. No doubt 100% oxygen is not absorbed over here. So already air is having around 20% oxygen. In the crowded cities, wherever traffic problem and population density is very high, the amount of oxygen in air will still decrease. In Mumbai, particularly local train, you will find this problem, that amount of oxygen is very less inside that. Whenever oxygen reduce, that means amount of oxygen decreases in air. Obviously, in the respiratory system also amount of oxygen decreases. As a result, in the bloodstream also amount of oxygen decreases. The lack of oxygen in blood will cause certain problems like angerness. Short-temperedness is observed whenever oxygen deficiency is there. That's why if person is suffering from anemia, then he is short-tempered. The reason is that oxygen deficiency is observed over there. Whenever we are carrying out treks above 5000 meter height, greater than 5000 meter height, then also this problem may be observed, that certain people, they are very calm in nature, but they also become aggressive, they become angry. The reason is that above 5000 meter high, the level of oxygen decreases, and so diffusion of oxygen in blood decreases. That will result the short-temperedness. The same thing, same problem is experienced, and obviously I am also experiencing, because I stay in Mumbai, so I am also experiencing this problem, that whenever we carry out long journey in train, local trains, they are overcrowded. No doubt ventilation system is maintained, but that is also not sufficient, and so people become angry for small reason. They are not aggressive, but become aggressive. The reason is that short of oxygen. So this oxygen exchange is carried out over here. So 20% oxygen is there in air, that is absorbed, not to 100%, but whatever oxygen is there, out of that only 4% is absorbed in lung, whereas remaining is sent away. Now whatever the oxygen is absorbed, that is in form of oxyhemoglobin, whereas carbon dioxide is released. Now carbon dioxide is carried out in blood by two ways. One is by carbonate ion, HCO3 minus, that is bicarbonate ion, that is in form of bicarbonate ion, and secondly with formation of carbon dioxide combines with hemoglobin to form carbamino compound. Now about 27% carbon dioxide is transferred through RBCs. Remaining carbon dioxide is carried out in form of bicarbonate ion, that is HCO3 minus, and that is released in lung. Whenever person is having lack of oxygen, the cells are suffering lack of oxygen or scarcity of oxygen, the cell will suffer from anoxia or asphyxiation. So this type is observed, as we have discussed. This is about the external respiration process, or that is called as breathing process. By this method oxygen enters in the blood, and then in case of human, the pulmonary vein, pulmonary means pulmonary means lung. So vein which carries blood from lung, that is pulmonary vein, that will carry blood to heart, and this is carrying out oxygenated blood. Now this part is carried out no doubt inside the body, but it is outside the cell. So this portion we are calling as external respiration or breathing process, which involves inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation is of oxygen rich air, exhalation is oxygen deficient, not saying zero oxygen. Some amount of oxygen is utilized usually in yoga, or whenever we are carrying out deep breathing or pranayam technique. That is the involvement of complete removal of carbon dioxide from respiratory tracts, because many times it happens that oxygen is entering in, whereas already gases are there, they are coming out. So this type of pumping is there, and that's why periodically we have to yawn, then we are removing out. That is a form of removing out excess of carbon dioxide from body. So pranayam technique, yoga technique, that is deep breathing, that is very, very important, so that we are making our respiratory tract clean, excess of carbon dioxide accumulation is not observed, and as we are removing out the residual air to maximum extent, the fresh air can be taken in and we are getting freshness. Anyway, that is a part of yoga. We are again concentrating on our respiration process. Now whenever we are calling usually respiration, that it indicates its internal respiration only. So at cell level we are carrying out now, we are discussing about respiration. Now in first lecture only we have discussed that mitochondria, singular mitochondrion, plural mitochondria. So mitochondria are responsible for this respiration process. So let us start drawing structure of mitochondria. Now as we have discussed mitochondria or powerhouse of cell, we are going electron microscopic structure of this. So this is rod shape, somewhat elongated rod shape structure present. If you want to find out length, then it is about 3 to 4 micrometer in length. So this way we can say 3 to 4 micrometer, whereas this way 0.5 to 1 micrometer. So this is the distance approximately, that is in the range of 0.5 to 1 micrometer, whereas this way we can say that is in the range of 3 to 4 micrometer. So this is having outer membrane part and inner membrane. The space between outer membrane and inner membrane, that is called as outer space. So this is outer space, or this is called as what is the name of this organelle? Mitochondria, peri. So perimitochondrium. So I can say this way, simply keep in mind outer membrane and inner membrane space is there, that is called as outer space or perimitochondrium. So this way we can keep in mind the name of the space over here, which is filled with watery liquid present here. Now the inside part, this is the folded part. This part is not the smooth one. Why the folded? In order to increase surface area. So inside portion, inner membrane, that is the folded one. This fold, they are called as cristae. So singular crista and plural cristae. So like that cristae are there. So we are discussing now about this cristae. So just we are taking out this outside and we are discussing the enlarged part of crista. Now this is having the fold, and on fold you will find certain bodies present. They are called as F1 particles. They are also having different names. Let us discuss these particles. Whatever the present particle, they are called as stalked particles. They are also having name as oxysomes. Oxygen, so keep in mind oxysomes. Then F1 particle, as we have given the name as F1 particle here. So that is called as F1 particle. Sometimes it is referred as F0 F1 particle and elementary particle. So variety of names are there, you have to keep in mind. Then the structure is like this. F1 particle is having structure like this: head, stalk and base. So this is structure of F1 particle. The matrix present over here, matrix means whatever the space inside inner membrane, that is called as matrix, that is filled with 70 ribosome or 70S ribosomes. DNA is also present over here. So keep in mind, presence of DNA is there in nucleus, as we are discussing in first chapter or first part, the cell structure. Nucleus is having chromosome. Chromosomes are made up of genes. Genes are made up of DNA and RNA. So here the DNA are present in mitochondria also. So mitochondria are self-replicating bodies. Then certain enzymes are present. Variety of enzymes are produced by mitochondria itself. But for fewer enzymes, they require presence of nuclear DNA. So they are not 100% independent over here. Now, as we have discussed the structure, this is ultrastructure or electron microscopic structure. Now you are aware of the parts of mitochondria. Now just we have to discuss about significance of mitochondria first. Mitochondria is powerhouse of cell. Oxidation of glucose, that is the respiration process, internal respiration or cellular level respiration process. The majority part is covered in mitochondria, and so we are calling that as powerhouse of the cell. Same way, the calcium ion concentration inside the body of cell, that is regulated by various intermediate product form in the respiration process, they are used by formation of photosynthetic part. Then the important thing that certain compounds, say for example hemoglobin, you are aware, the heme part of that hemoglobin, it is made up of myoglobin and hemoglobin. So heme part is synthesized in mitochondria. Certain enzymes are also synthesized in mitochondria. So this is the importance of mitochondria over here. So as we are discussing out the first part, that is internal respiration, we are discussing out the first part, structure of mitochondria we are discussed out. Then we have to start with now actual respiration.